What's going on, guys? Today I have a video on a £400 game PC for late 2014. Now, at the time I'm recording this is the end of October going into November, so that's where these prices have come from. Now I've decided to update this video just because it's the most popular price point on my channel, and a lot of people seem to be going for these builds, and there is better hardware out now than there was when I did my other £400 one. So let's get started. For the first part, I've got for the processor, I've gone for the Intel Pentium G3258 processor. It's a Pentium processor, which may put you off a little bit, but it's actually really good value for the money. And this one has a 3.2 GHz clock speed, 3 megs of cache. It's a dual core processor, but with this Pentium, it's overclockable. Now, it's overclockable because it's, I think, the 20th anniversary of Intel, and they decided to make it overclockable Pentium processor like they did back in the day. So, this also has great single core performance. Now, if you compare this to any AMD CPU, at this price point, it's gonna wipe the floor with single core performance, and it's better than AMD Athlonix 4760K, which is probably what I would have went with. If it wasn't for this CPU. So if it's better than that, then you're going to get more performance. Now, it's a really good processor for only £48 at Amazon. I highly recommend it. The next part is the motherboard. I've gone for an MSI Z97 PC mate motherboard. Now, I've gone for a Z97. You may be thinking of a H81, H87, but some boards don't support overclocking with the Pentiums, and you're gonna need a BIOS update and stuff like that. But this Z97 PC mate is gonna, you're gonna be able to overclock your processor with it, which is sort of what we want to do here. And yeah, it's cheap. It's got SATA 3, USB 3, and it also has the ability to overclock, as I said before. And that's only £63 at Amazon UK. And for the next part, it's a CPU cooler. We're going to need this because we're going to be overclocking the processor. Now, this is quite a popular CPU cooler. It's a Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo. It's going to provide a very good job at keeping your CPU cool. You're going to be able to overclock your CPU to 4.2 gigahertz and above. A gigahertz over the standard clock speed. And it's relatively quiet, and it's going to do a really good job at keeping your CPU cool. I personally have my CPU overclocked to 4 GHz, and I max out about 60 degrees, so that's really good for a cooler at this price, and that's only £23. I do highly recommend this cooler. Now, for the next part's a RAM. This is probably the the cheapest part of the build. Now, I've only gone for 4 gigs of RAM just because there isn't enough money for 8 gigs, but if you do want to spend the extra £30, you can go with 8 gigs. Anyway, this is just some standard Crucial 4 gig RAM. It's 1600, you're going to be able to upgrade. This motherboard does have 4 memory sockets, so we can upgrade 16 gigs if we have all 4s, or you can get some 8 gig sticks if you do want that. And yeah, it's only £29 at eBay, and that's, usually the price point of 4 gigs of RAM, so that's really good for the money. The next part is the main part of the build, is the graphics card. Now, in my opinion, I think this is going to provide some great performance for the money. It's an MSI R9 270X. In my previous £400 builds, I've gone for a 270. So we're able to get a 270X in this build, which is obviously better. Now, we have a 1001 or 1.1 gigahertz boost clock with, I think, a 1.03 gigahertz base clock, so that's quite fast. It's going to max out about 160 watts, so as a PSU is going to be able to handle it. It's got 2 gigs of memory. I think there's a 4 gig card available, but if you're going to be gaming on one single 1080p monitor, 2 gigs is going to be plenty. And you also have the ability to overclock this card and maybe achieve some 280 speeds. If you wish. It also has an MSI twin Frozen cooler, so it's going to do a decent job at keeping your card cool, and as I said, you're going to be able to overclock with it. And that is only £125 at eBay, and I think that's a really good value. Now, for the hard drive, we've gone for a Western Digital Caviar Blue 1TB. Now, this is pretty standard part in all my builds just because it's cheap, it does the job, and 1TB is going to be plenty for your games, pictures, music videos, and your operating system. Also your updates and things like that. 7200 RPMs, it's going to be reasonably fast. If you do want to have a faster hard drive, I go with a Caviar Black, but that's going to run you about £20 more. It also has 64 cache, you know, pretty standard. For the power supply, I'm going for a Corsair CX430. This is not the modular version, but you're not really going to need it. I mean, this case, or the case that's going to be in a minute, is, you know, should be able to keep it nice and tidy. 430 watts is going to provide enough power. It's 80 plus bronze, so you know it's going to be reliable. You're not going to have to change it after a few months because it blows out. And Corsair is a really good brand for PSUs. I personally myself have a CX600, and that's, you know, doing really well. And that's only £37 at Novatech. Now, I haven't really used Novatech before, but I'm sure they're a great company. And if you don't want to feel like risking it, or you can order from a different company. But as I say, I've never had any personal experience. But if you have, you know, feel free to do what you wish. So that's only £37. That's a good deal. For the case, I've gone for an NZXT Source 210. Now, usually in my builds, I go for a Fractal Design Core 1000 or whatever. But I thought I'd change it up, and as we're going for an ATX motherboard, I thought, well, we're going to need a bigger case. So, in the picture, there's the white option, which, you know, some people will go for. There's also a black option available for around the same price. So if you just look around for that, I might put the link in the description for that too. It's ATX, so it's going to hold our motherboard, and it's cheap. It's really good quality for the money as well, from all the reviews I've seen and stuff. Now, that's it for that build, and the total of it is £397.73, and for that price, I think you're getting a really good build for the money. You're getting a overclockable Pentium with great single core performance, and a 270X, also 4 gigs of RAM. 4 gigs of RAM should be plenty, just for gaming. So yeah, that's £397, I think that's a good deal. And that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, a like would be appreciated. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe for more videos.